Welcome, everyone. Thanks for hanging around. So first, I'm VP of Sales at Yieldmo. Yieldmo is an omni-channel SSP. We use our patented and proprietary formats with our proprietary technology to get your guys' advertisers, creatives to our premium inventory, so our publishers. And with me up here is the lovely Tanya. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Tanya Keenan. I'm with JPMorgan Chase. For the past year, I've been on the Amazon co-brand card team, so I lead up our customer marketing. Prior to that, I spent about 3.5 years leading advertising and media for Chase Freedom, which is the largest branded card product. As you may guess, it's a little challenging to get both Amazon and Chase to sign off on material, so we're going to be chit-chatting a little bit about Freedom today.
I love it. I'm here for it. All right, so to set the tone a little bit about this Chase Freedom that we're talking about, how does your brand define the authenticity and the context of marketing and media, especially when it comes to the representation and inclusion?
Yeah, so Chase's brand purpose is to make dreams possible for everyone, everywhere, every day. And so we really strive to be the bank for all, and that's essentially where a lot of our advertising and media is rooted in.
That's amazing. In what ways has your brand worked towards reflecting diverse perspectives in its marketing campaigns and media content and making it, freedom for all?
Yeah, I'm a big believer, and all stats show you have to measure it in order to be able to see traction. And so we've set some goals for our media investment. So 10% of our budget to go to diverse-owned agencies. We're working on a target of 35% diverse targeted. So there's just some examples of how we're trying to make our media work harder for us in the DE&I space.
It's a very hot topic right now, so we're hopefully sharing lots of intel for you all. So take us behind the scenes a little bit around, can you share the insights into how your team ensures diversity and inclusion and are considered in the ideation and the creation phases of marketing campaigns?
So we're going to take an example on the LGBTQ plus community campaign that we ran in 22, but to take a step back, to give you some background, JPMC has been a long-standing supporter. We've been donating for over 15 years to the community, nonprofits. Actually, 21, we dedicated another $5 million to organizations like Listen, Out and About, San Francisco AIDS Foundation. We've had a business resource group internally since 1996. So we've been kind of at the forefront of really supporting an allyship internally as well. Interestingly enough, though, when we looked at our reputation tracker and brand health for broader JPMC, there was a gap between Gen Pop and LGBTQ plus community. I'm going to just start calling it the community just to keep it a little bit shorter because we're going to be referencing that a lot. And, we took that away to say, that doesn't really resonate with our brand purpose, and it doesn't really, where is this misalignment coming from, and how can we close the gap?
Awesome. With that, you kind of teed up this campaign that you all worked on. I think we have a video, so let's go ahead and roll it.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, go check us out.
I find it.
All right, well, let's learn a little bit more about that campaign. Can you talk to me about how you're championing diversity and what strategies has your brand employed to champion that diversity, both within your marketing team and the broader creative process?
Yeah, so when we saw the gap, we started discussing internally, what can we do? And it's interesting, so while on the Freedom team, we've gone through a 3-year multi-touch attribution, kind of marrying upper funnel with lower funnel and really measuring results. And yet our upper funnel marketing, I'm sure hopefully everyone has seen the Kevin Hart advertising, it does contain a very strong product value prop message. So we really haven't embarked on a truly brand-led campaign, even though that is upper funnel. And so we were thinking about how can we essentially position Freedom to fill this gap and also lead with a more brand-led message. So it was a kind of a test and learn for us internally. Lucky we dedicate a little bit of our test and learn budget for instances like this. But it was just really, we had a big proponent internally. I mentioned that we have a lot of business resource groups. We actually have an office of LGBT plus affairs. There's a full-time staff now dedicated to championing this, and we really reached out to them to say, can you please help support us in our insights, and how do we make this campaign come to life authentically?
Let's dive a little bit further into that group that you have internally. So it's great that you're starting to address it externally. How are you also fostering this internally and into your internal culture? So is your internal culture that you have at Chase, is this also kind of influencing how you approach external with your marketing efforts?
Yeah, I think because there's such a advocacy internally, it became a little bit easier to make the business case for pursuit of this. We also really leveraged our internal employees. It was the first time we did it. We pitched the campaign concept. We had them review all the creative. We actually vetted the influencers, asked them. They had a really active role in the production, actually, of the ad. And so, for anyone who works at a larger organization, yes, you are targeting consumer, but you're also targeting the employee base, and you want to make sure that you've got internal buy-in, but also it was a chance for us to kind of celebrate our Pride BRG group internally as well.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously, I think this is a very sensitive kind of topic and subject. And so that leads us to kind of authenticity versus tokenism. How does your brand navigate that fine line between authenticity and tokenism in marketing campaigns, ensuring that the diverse voices are genuinely represented rather than just used to check a box?
Yeah, so I mentioned the diverse-owned agencies. We quickly onboarded. We recognized we had a gap on our roster. We onboarded Titanium Worldwide. Robin Streisand is the owner. She's fantastic. Her team was really integral in us making sure we got everything sort of authentic versus tokenism, as you mentioned. So we actually just won an Ogilvy Advertising Research Foundation Award for this campaign due to all the insights that were used to drive the campaign concept. So working with Robin and Titanium Worldwide, we did a lot of third-party research. I mentioned the first-party research. Wanted to make sure that the production staff was almost 100% members of the community. The influencers we used that you saw, Kiana and Jana and David Yee, they didn't get to see, were actually Freedom Unlimited card members prior to us recruiting them. So a lot of making sure that we were just able to kind of tell their story in an authentic way.
That's always nice, that they're already card members, they're already bought into the brand. That's helpful. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges with anything, but what challenges have you faced in promoting diversity and inclusion in marketing, and how has your brand addressed and or overcome those challenges?
I was here yesterday for a little bit, and I know the woman from Saks was talking about influencers and being authentic to the brand, and I would say that's one of our biggest challenges is, we've got these great influencers. We actually had more supporting influencers that we weren't able to showcase their story in the 30-second spot. But I would love to just unleash them right on social media and get them to share their story and why they're Freedom Unlimited card members. And we're in a heavily regulated environment. Brand safety is a big concern, and we just weren't able. That's just a consistent struggle. We weren't able to really let them share their content authentically. We did have to orchestrate. Everything has to be pre-approved. So that's one of the major, I think, challenges when you're trying to tell an authentic story. Actually kind of trying to dictate that story and make sure that it's pre-approved.
Yeah, that could be a challenge, definitely in the influencer space, I feel like. I know you talked a little bit about brand safety, but beyond that, measuring impact? Like, how do you measure the impact of diverse and inclusive marketing efforts? And then, are there specific metrics or indicators that you find particularly valuable?
Yeah, I mentioned brand health. So JPMC does a really good job of tracking not just like overall Gen Pop, but like I mentioned, different subsets of the population. So in terms of this campaign, like we really wanted to get across that Chase Freedom was a card for someone like me. That's one of the main metrics we track, along with trust and relatability. The quarter after this campaign launched, we saw year-over-year improvements with the LGBTQ plus population that were part of the brand health tracker. So I think that we're playing the long game, to be honest, as opposed, this wasn't a performance-driven campaign, although it did supersede our expectations for like click-through rate and engagement. It really is trying to like build that brand and making sure that we move the metrics on those types of. We also, I actually printed this out because there's like so many good results on here and I wasn't going to remember all of them.
Let's hear it.
So in terms of financial services norm, Chase Freedom ranked post-campaign, these are all statistically significant, much higher with the LGBTQ plus population. So plus 144% for portrays a company I want to be associated with, plus 148% empathy. These were some of our key drivers, like think of Chase in a new way, plus 160%. Lift to brand impression and lift to consideration, plus 140%. So it's a funnel, right? So we know we're trying to drive upper funnel awareness, but you want to try to eventually move them into the consideration and acquisition. So we felt like this campaign really was able to drive home some of that.
Those are great numbers. That's great. Lastly, looking forward, and everyone likes to end on this kind of question. Looking forward to future trends. What trends do you anticipate in the realm of diversity and inclusion within marketing and media? And how is your brand preparing for those changes and thinking about general inclusivity?
Yeah, because particularly with credit cards, it is a transactional you get the card, you make purchases, right? You apply pretty instantaneously. It doesn't have a long lead life cycle. Being able to do something that was more brand-led, I think really opened the doors for us, but it was also really critical that we had a product that we felt like actually met the need, which is where the marriage of like freedom unlimited with this campaign occurred. We have had a gap, frankly, like in our card set for new to credit starter population where other banks do a little bit better, I think, at targeting that audience. We just launched Freedom Rise earlier this year. It's a soft launch, so it's in bank branches. We haven't done a hard launch yet. But I think that'll be really interesting to see what kind of campaign the team comes up with to support that. We got a new CMO about like 18 months to 2 years ago, and along with that internal brand purpose, they launched a brand campaign in select markets called Make Happen. It's really featuring small businesses and our commitment to community investment. So it's tests right now. I'm really interested to see how that transpires. I'd love to see the trend of us being able to measure with like MTA and MMM eventually what some of that brand-led campaign, like we all believe in it, but for a very data and analytically heavy company, like I'm really interested to see how these campaigns perform so that there's like multiple points of data to say like, yes, this works, we should invest more. And also JPMC is such a big brand, like there's a little bit of a debate, I think internally on like, do we need to actually spend money on investing in our brand? I think we would all believe the answer is yes, but we have to prove that out. We do have like CFOs that have to approve all of our budgets.
I'm going to go off script for a second, sorry. Both of us are moms, and so as we're thinking about future trends and inclusivity, how do you personally think about like the next generation and like making sure, obviously I am a proud Chase card holder, we talked about this, and I'd love that my kids end up one day doing the same, but how do you think about kind of either passing that down or getting them excited?
Yeah, You know, I'm going to go off script too.
Sorry.
As a personal, you know, like data shows us, and we as consumers know this, like you have purchasing power and spending power, and it's becoming like more and more critical, particularly for younger generations, to like put their money into companies and that support causes that you align with, that you believe in. And so social responsibility is just like critical, and I think it's just going to be larger companies, I think, need to stop playing it so safe and to really kind of put themselves out there. And I think for a company like JPMC, that is like a little bit more difficult because we have so many different constituents, and institutional and like wealth management is a part of it in terms of investment. But to really, I think, reach consumers and the younger generation, like we're going to have to like take a stand in certain instances. So I think for my kids, it's really like thinking about how much influence you have with your spending power, not just voting and all the other wonderful things that we can do.
The good news is I was kind of teeing this up to say you kind of already are doing that. I think freedom is kind of going down that path to start paving that way, and you can see that with the ad we just partially showed, and the new alpha product that you guys have. So I think you are taking steps, I think, in that direction, which is exciting. So I know I went off script, I'm sorry, but I just thought that was relevant for both of us. With that kind of concludes our Q&A, but we would like to open this up for questions. Does anyone have any questions? She's like, I don't need the mic.
Thank you so much for this. This is great. I was wondering, I know you've been at Chase for 4 years, so I was wondering what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in inclusion and your marketing strategies around it?
Yeah, I think, so I'm like super proud of Chase. Like the internal BRG groups, which are business resource groups, kind of an acronym we use, and the talk track from leadership on D&I has been like so impressive since I've joined. And what I would say is they put their money where their mouth is too. I think that's the piece that I've been most impressed with. Like it's not just the talk. So for example, and I'm not going to get the stats right because I'm going off script again, but there's dedication internally for diverse hire. There's been like a massive recruitment effort at HBCUs and hiring events, and we've like significantly increased diverse hires internally. And so I think there's only more to come, I think, from the external side, from a media, and it's not just about like inclusivity in the people that were featured in the ads. It's really thinking carefully about different segments and how we can go after them. I would love to see more of the internal talk track actually being cascaded out externally to our advertising.
Any other questions?
Yeah, as a marketer, what would you say are like the key factors for any DEI campaign? Most important factors, something that really moves the needle in terms of just making sure it's included in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think more than just one campaign is really critical, and making sure that it becomes like a pillar in your advertising. I also forgot to mention we spent like $2.5 million extra on this ad campaign for LGBTQ plus publishers, like Out and Equal, Equal Pride and Q Digital. And so, but we also ran it in our tried and true channel. So that kind of goes a bit to not just like targeting the audience, but actually casting a wider net for, again, like the brand really driving D&E is an important factor for all, not just the community that you're speaking to. So we ran the ad through our MTA so that we can make sure that we got some of those results comparing it to other brand campaigns. And I think just the authenticity, like surround yourself with people who are members of the community that you're targeting. Like, don't just go by gut. Like, make sure you're like spot on and can tell that story. And I think the best way to do that is to like rely on your team, whether that's internal or external.
Great questions. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. The award-winning work that you did with the Advertising Research Foundation, was there a piece of data or research that was surprising to you that you then leveraged for future activity?
So we partner with the Collage Group on their cultural attributes, and I wouldn't say it was surprising, but it really was the foundation for the insight that drove the creative concept, which is essentially that many members of the community yearn to like live an authentic life freely, but also want to be seen as a holistic individual. And so that insight really led us to Kiana and Jonna and David and showcasing them in their environment. So I would say that I wouldn't say it was surprising. I just think it was really important to understand like the mindset going into the campaign.
You weren't able to speak on specifics about the Amazon card, but could you generally speak to sort of the lanes for freedom versus Amazon and how you guys differentiate between products, or is that?
Yeah, like it's totally fine. Freedom's a branded card product, so let me just go a little bit back down history lane. Chase, has built their foundation of credit cards and co-brand, and then I don't know the exact year, but like many, many years ago, they shifted to branded or proprietary cards, which has slowly become a much larger piece of the organization. So I would say co-brand is still a great like money-making machine, like bread and butter, but branded cards is slowly becoming just as large and just as important, although the economics are a little bit different on how we make money on the branded card. Personally, from the Amazon side, the way I've approached it is they basically are the brand for the card, right? Like you're not signing up for the card because it's a Chase product, although we provide that security and stability, like it's powered by Chase, but it's really an Amazon branded card. So we partnered together, but they really have taken more of the lead on the creative strategy, where we support from a like customer lifecycle management and promotional offer perspective. So I think Chase is a healthy balance, and that's of a diversification of the portfolio between kind of branded and co-branded side of the business, and I think they're equally important in different ways.
Any other questions? All right, I think that'll do it. Thank you so much, Tony. This is great.